and to begin to see that you're evolving your experience is fundamentally important to this work. Doing this work and taking the time out of your busy lives to become an experimenter, to experiment to see if I change the way I think and the way I feel, is it going to begin to produce effects in my life, and then maintain that state, that energetic state, independent of all the conditions in your environment, independent of the conditioning emotionally that keeps you in the past or the expectation of the same future, and independent of certain habits and unconscious programs. That is the process of overcoming. And being able to sustain that state every single day causes outcomes to begin to mysteriously appear in your life. And it is that mysterious appearance of those opportunities and synchronicities that transcend our limited understanding of possibility. And so, yes, not everybody heals in this work. We're learning the process. And it's not enough to just send people love in this work. Love is the wind that moves the feather in one direction. Intention is what lands the feather on the coordinate, on the person, on the circumstance, on the condition that you want to change. And it is our intention that is a function of our brain, a function of our ability to hold an intent or focus. The emotion is the fuel that moves us closer to that outcome. And so it's important for you to understand then that if not everybody heals in this work, and it's a practical application of overcoming every single day that allows you to become somebody else, then it would be about becoming. It would be about you becoming a greater version of yourself. And I've said to so many people in this work, you know when you're changing in your life when you stop talking about it. And when you stop talking about it, it means then that you're engaged in the process. You are in the river of change. Review and rehearse in your mind how you're going to be. And the act of rehearsing in your mind truly begins to install more neurological hardware. You're reminding yourself and reproducing the same level of mind. Why? So you can step into that footprint in your day and modify your behaviors to produce a different experience. That experience produces a different emotion. And you're going to want to feel that emotion instead of the emotions of your past. And then teach your body what your future feels like. Start making those chemicals. Yes, I know it's not easy all the time to feel elevated emotions. Believe me, I've been at this a long time. If you could feel that emotion before the event occurs in your life, your body's so objective, it's going to believe that that future is happening to you in the present moment. And it's that elevated emotion that begins to draw like a magnet experiences to you. So then, I'm going to tell you some days it's harder than others to feel these emotions. I can tell you because I've done it enough times. But that's natural and that's normal. But what we're after is supernatural. And if you can feel the celebration, the gratitude, the freedom of expression, the joy, the love for life, and you can feel that ahead of the experience, not only is your body so objective that it's believing that future is happening to you in the present moment because it doesn't know the difference between the real life experience and the one you're fabricating by thought alone, but also if the environment signals the gene, and it does, and the end product of an experience in the environment is an emotion, you're beginning to select and instruct new genes, and you're changing your gene expression and changing your body, upregulating genes for health. And if you can sustain that emotion all day long, you keep new genes on or new genes upregulated and those genes for disease downregulated. And if you fall from grace and you lose it, that's normal, that's natural. But supernatural is pausing for a moment and getting connected to the energy and the emotions of the future.
You can feel that high vibe energy move through you all the time, even when things are tough. In fact, it's the tough times that offer us an opening to deepen our spiritual connection even more. So don't give up, just follow us and we can help you.
Every time you bring that body back into the present moment and you relax it back down into the present moment and you surrender into nothing, every time you do that, you're reconditioning your body to a new mind. In other words, you're not allowing your body to become the mind. Nothing is going to help you to get to the present moment but you. And if you practice being present every single day in your meditations, you will be more present in your life and less preoccupied with that worst case scenario or that moment where something could go wrong and living by those hormones of stress. And your body then finally starts to trust you. And when your body finally starts to trust you is the moment it's not worried about the unknown. The unknown is no longer dangerous. The unknown is actually an adventure. So we do the work in teaching people how to find the present moment. And when they begin to distinguish between when you're present and when you're not present, and they're able to do that well enough, they'll know the moment it's time to create. Now, this funny thing happens if you really lock into the present moment. All the things you thought you wanted, you no longer want because you feel so whole in that moment, it's impossible to want. Now, that's when duality begins to unify, and that's the moment now where you're no longer living in polarity. I call that the natural state of being. And so, finding the present moment is one of the key elements that we use. Once you find the present moment, then the next step is to teach your brain and body emotionally what a new future is going to feel like. We do the work every day to present ourselves as a greater expression of ourselves every day. And in the beginning, it will feel unnatural, it will feel uncomfortable, but I swear there's been hundreds of people, once they start seeing the effects and they find true joy within them because they're pleased with themselves. How do we begin to become supernatural? We have to begin to do what's unnatural. And when everybody else is in lack and in poverty, that is the time to give. When everybody else is in fear and worried, that's the time to demonstrate courage. When everybody else is judging and warring, that's the time to show love and compassion. And if we keep doing the unnaturals long enough, sooner or later we'll begin to become supernatural. So our soul's journey then is to really to step out of the quagmire and the limited beliefs and perceptions that keep us playing in this limited realm, this limited density, where we are matter trying to change matter. Once we get a taste of the divine, and that divine, again, we've measured this over and over again. When you are that thought in that infinite space, when the brain is perceiving space and no longer perceiving objects, it gets very organized. It gets very coherent. And when the brain gets coherent, we get coherent. When the heart gets coherent, we love way more. And that's when we begin to emulate the divine. So over and over again, as we begin to climb out of these limited states, and we break free from those survival emotions that keep us feeling more like matter and less like energy, the side effect of all of that is becoming more energy and less matter. And that's when we start to demonstrate being a vibrational being. The field around our bodies when we're living in stress is about 3-4 inches in size. Open your heart, it can be up to 9 meters wide. We measured. And so then when you begin to open your heart, you feel connected to something greater. That's the beginning. That's when the soul says, now I have infinite possibilities to experience, and I get to select as a free-willed individual where I want to place my attention. That's when we're liberated. So I think it's a great time for us to begin to really embody this information. I think it's a great time for us to hit the low points, to see those illusions. I mean, I had my own awakening, and you reach a point where you realize that the only time that you feel like yourself is you need the external world to remind you of it. That's a sign. When you can find an identity of yourself in the quietness and solitude of your own presence, that's when you're no longer seduced by the external world, and that's when you begin to experience true freedom.